Hey guys, thanks for tuning into VGR Viral here, and I thought I would usher in the Halloween spirit by having everybody share their very spooky and odd paranormal stories that they've experienced in their lifetime. I know I've had my fair share, so I was hoping that I would share my stories and you guys would do the same, whether it's commenting in the little box down there in the comment box, or even linking a video to this one. I know a lot of people have experienced odd paranormal things in their lives. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people have. So I kind of wanted to get a sense of, what kind of experiences have you experienced? I'm pretty sure they're different than mine. I'm pretty sure that they scare the crap out of you when they did happen, and if they didn't, then you got a real pair of steel balls on you. But I thought I'd share an interesting story about this place I grew up in. So early on in my life, I was growing up in downtown Toronto, and we were living in this townhouse unit. I grew up there for the first 13 years of my life. One of the most extreme periods, I guess, of any kind of paranormal activity that was happening there was around the time that I was about 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old. The first experience that I've ever had in that house is one that always lasted. I don't think anybody noticed at the time that we were living there. I mean, mom and dad didn't say anything at the time, but when we were living in this townhouse unit, you would basically you come in from the main level. All right, I'll give you kind of like a vague, semi-detailed description. So if you can imagine, this is the main hallway. Okay, and on this section here would be the stairwell leading up the steps. Or sorry, no, this would be the living room. This would be the stairwell leading upstairs. And as you work your way upstairs, there's a slight turn to get up the rest of the steps, and then you would have the second floor. So one of the everlasting experiences that I had in this house was anytime I came home, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is, but as long as I came home and I looked up the steps, there was always this sensation of somebody looking down at you, I guess, or staring right at you, and it wasn't very pleasant either. Um, so I always felt a little bit odd in that house just because of the fact that it always felt like somebody was watching you no matter where you go. Upstairs, somebody's got their eye on you, and it feels like they're trying to say that this is my house, not yours. Um, so over the course of time growing up, I didn't really take too much note. I just knew that I didn't like going upstairs. So one of these days, I ended up going up the stairs and went into my bedroom, and I noticed that um, we have some interesting things in the closet, like various articles of clothing, but also we have these big boxes full of like random miscellaneous items like photo albums. And I just got curious one day and I wanted to rifle through some of the things. When you come up the stairs, the closet is facing you. As you come up the stairwell, it's right there. So my room is just down the corner from it. I walked out, I went into the closet, and I started rifling through all the stuff, and I moved the coats away on the hangers. I just slid them over, and as I'm looking down, trying to go through everything, I started noticing this small kind of shimmering reflection just above me. So when I looked up, there's this tiny, very weird ornamented mirror in the closet, which is the most odd place to put a mirror. Why would you have a mirror in the closet? Um, you can probably put all of the jokes on that in the comment box below, because I just opened one up for you. But anyway, so this mirror was very odd. I never really took too much note of it. It was there. I didn't want to touch it, but it just ended up hanging there, and apparently it's still there to this day. The story's going to end on an interesting note, by the way, because I just found something out yesterday from my dad about something that happened in our old townhouse unit to a woman who had moved in just after my dad had moved out. So after I had discovered this mirror, one of the first experiences that I had was I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I never knew why I would wake up between like 2:30, 2:45, around 3 o'clock in the morning. It always seemed like the oddest time to get up, because normally I would sleep through the entire night. I'd go to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock, and wake up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning so I could watch some TV and then go to school and be on my way for the rest of the day. So the first experience that I ever had was we had um, we had gotten up early in the morning, and I was up at around 2:30, 2:45, sometime between there. And I started noticing some severe chest pains, and I felt like somebody was standing in my doorway. But my mom and dad, they were in their bedroom, and nobody was around. I just had this sensation that somebody was standing in my doorway, looking into my room, or at least staring at me. So I kind of get up and I'm grabbing my chest and I'm wondering why is my chest hurting? When it's my left side too. So I didn't think too much of it. And I'm 5 years old at the time, like your imagination kind of goes wild. And I just stayed up the rest of the day with like these odd chest pains. So I went to school that very day, and um, I was totally fine at school. My dad comes to pick me up. Must have been like 3:45, close to 4 o'clock, and he drives me back home. Well, he gets a phone call from work, and it's grandma. She needs a hand because they're kind of swamped there. So he goes down and he helps out grandma. And my mom was working with my dad and my grandmother at the time, and my uncle. They all ran a business together. So whenever grandma was ready to leave, everybody would take off at the same time. So it must have been like 8 o'clock in the evening, maybe 8:15 by the time we got out the door. We made it to the car and we drive home. So all day I'm totally fine, except for when I was at home when I had the chest pains. Well, we come in through the door, and all of a sudden I start complaining that my chest is really hurting. The closer we get to that door, to the front door of my house, I'm starting to get those chest pains again. And my dad, my mom brush it off like, oh, stop pretending, you're faking, you just don't want to go to school tomorrow or whatever. And I started shedding tears, and I didn't know why, but my chest was hurting pretty bad, so that's kind of an accumulative amount, from pain to tears. But the amount of tears I was shedding, just it didn't make sense. But then my dad puts the key in the key slot, unlocks the door, opens it. Literally, as my foot plants on the ground, so does the rest of my body, keels over, and I fell face forward onto the ground. Um, I don't remember what happened after that. I remember my mom kind of freaking out, and then I remember waking up in the hospital later on that night with all of these doctors surrounding me, trying to strap me down because I've been fighting them off because I'm terrified of needles. I can't stand them. So the second this doctor took out the needle, I guess my reflexes kicked in, and I just started, kicking the nurses and trying to fight off the doctor from sticking me with this needle. Finally, they managed to strap me down and they stick me with the needle. And he said it's the oddest thing, but your son got, this instantaneous kick of pneumonia, and he's going to have to stay in the hospital. And, he might have to be here all week. So I'm thinking, cool, I get to take time off school for a week, and I have a legitimate reason for doing it. And these nurses wheel in this cart, and there's a small TV. If any of you remember growing up in the 90s, teachers used to bring in, and even in high school, teachers bring in like this, almost like a tray cart with a television on it, and it's strapped down, and underneath it, they usually have a VCR player. Well, this was an older set TV, and I guess one of the nurses, they went out of their way, and they grabbed a Super Nintendo with one of the original Mario games. Remember, he tracks around this like 2D map, and he works into the world, and you jump in, and it's the side-scrolling game. Anyway, so she brings this for me, and I'm playing it, and next thing I know, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm playing video games, and my mom shows up around 12 o'clock, and she says, "Doctor says you're doing perfectly fine. He doesn't understand how you kick back so fast, but you're a kid, so let's go home, and you can stay home for the rest of the day." So I was like, okay, cool, why not? So then Now let's fast forward about half a year, like 6 months to around 9 months after that. So about this time that I had pneumonia, I had just turned 6. Um, I think it was around the time after my birthday at this point. What had happened was uh, I started getting this feeling that whatever was upstairs was a lot stronger than it was giving off. And I started noticing it more and more. Well, I woke up one night and again, same time. It was between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I get up, and when you wake up, you're kind of dazed and disoriented, and you have to give it the fact that you're still half asleep when you're waking up either way. So your dreams and reality, they tend to meld together for a short period of time, whether it's like a couple minutes to like 10-15 minutes. So I wake up, I'm cleaning off my eyes and trying to fix myself, fix my vision of sight, thinking, okay, it must be 6 o'clock in the morning. So I lean up and I look, and the door to my parents' bedroom is as I look out, I can already see their bedroom door, which for you guys is probably on this side. So I can look out into the hallway and I can already see their door. Well, it's closed, which means that they're asleep. So I get up and I figure, all right, well, nothing's going on. It must still be early. I lean over and I look at the little clock that I have, and it's not a digital clock. It was the one with the hands. So I had to read it myself in the dark. I see it's the middle of the night. I have no reason to be awake. And then I kind of calm myself down and I start listening. And I start hearing people talking. I can't identify exactly where these people are talking. I can't discern, whether it's coming from the second floor or if it's coming down from the first floor. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to get up, and just go to the bathroom and see if anybody's over. I get up and I walk out into the hallway. And we have this, again, the stairwell. Once you get to the top are these rails, just in case, so nobody falls over, you have the rails. And I look over the rails and I can see shadows moving around on the walls. And I can hear people talking, but it's very odd. It's almost like somebody whispering in your ear, but you can't discern what they're saying, so you're trying to listen in closer. But the more you listen, the more distorted it becomes. So I didn't exactly know whether we had guests over or, if maybe I'm still half asleep. Well, I decided for some reason, I was going to sneak down the stairs. And I was going to see, maybe there's guests over, maybe it's family. So I started walking down the stairs. And as I turned the corner, I noticed these shadows are getting more active, as if people are moving around, like a lot, they're going everywhere. And the voices are starting to pick up, they're becoming louder, and they're not exactly becoming clearer, but they're becoming more, I guess, you can kind of make out what's being said, but not really. So I'm making it down the steps, and each step I take, the louder it gets. Each step I take downstairs, the more these shadows are moving against the wall. So I stop. I'm on the third last step. And all of a sudden, it is as loud as a car driving through your living room would be. I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, if they don't want me to wake up, they're not doing a great job, because I'm just above them and the walls are not that thick. So I would be able to make out the difference in noise, and it would still wake me up. Normally my parents would hush everybody just in case, so I don't get woken up, because I'm still a kid. I need my sleep. So I'm on the third step listening to all this rambling happening and these shadows moving around on the walls. And in order to look into the living room, you would actually have to get off of the first step and just lightly turn around the corner, and there it is. All it is just a wall that separates you, and the wall was not that thick. It was maybe like a foot, or not even a foot, maybe like 6 inches, 7 inches, something like that. So as I'm making it down to the second step, all of a sudden the noise quiets down completely. I make it down to the first step, the shadows stop moving. At this point, I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, crap, Dad probably heard me, because we had pretty creaky steps. It was an old unit, so when you're walking on the stairs, there's almost no way to not make the stairs creak, but there's a certain way to make it sound natural. So I distributed my weight by walking, like a crab down the stairs. So I would slide my ass down the stairs, slowly making my way down, and generally it wouldn't make too much noise. But there I am, I stand myself up, I'm thinking, crap, I'm gonna get it. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. And it must have felt like, a good hour and a half. I'm just standing there waiting for my dad to come in and just rein me out for being up so late. But of course I had my defense that it was so goddamn loud. I still would have woken up either way. But nobody comes. I must have been waiting for like 2-3 minutes realistically. So I turn my head around the corner, and as I look around the corner, my dad is laying on this. We had this semicircle couch that used to be backed up against the wall, and then we had other couches laid up against the walls in the living room, and then the TV was pushed up against the corner where our backyard was located. Well, I turn my head into the living room thinking, if I'm gonna get it, fuck it, I'm gonna get it from him, and then I can ream him out for being so loud with everyone downstairs. I turn my head into the living room, and there he is, passed out. I mean, like right out. And he's snoring at a good pace, so I know he's asleep, because my dad doesn't snore unless he's out. He's got severe insomnia to this day, but back then, if he fell asleep, you could fire off a nuke, far enough where it wouldn't do enough distraction. Like, it would rumble the entire city, and he would still remain asleep until he chose to physically get himself up. Well, I look at the TV, and TV's on, but on those old TV units, when you hit the mute button, this kind of green, big, bold, lettered mute sign would stay on that TV. I think the only way to turn it off was to turn off the display, but my dad didn't know how to fuck around with the remote. So the mute sign was there, and I'm standing going, where the hell did all the people go? I'm kind of scratching my head, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is odd. So I turn around, and I figure, better he's asleep than me getting in shit for being up this late. So I turn, I'm going up the stairs, and there's a halfway point. When you get up to the stairs, there's this peak where it turns, right? You'll go up the stairs, and then it turns upward this way, where you would come up the rest of the steps, and this was the halfway point. Once I made it up, just before the halfway point, as soon as I plant my foot down on the halfway point to get myself up the steps, all of a sudden these shadows pop right back up, almost simultaneously as my foot lands, and the mumbling and the whispering is really loud. So I'm like, fuck this. I book it up the stairs, I turn the corner, run right into my bedroom. I usually don't close my door, just because I don't like being in my bedroom by myself. I take the covers, I throw them over my head, and I'm like, that's it. I want to pass out. I'm done. So that was one occasion. The next one, now let's see. The next occasion was, I think it was right like an hour after, or 2 hours after my 7th birthday. No, sorry. This one happened, I think it must have been the middle of the year. It couldn't have been on my birthday. It was still like winter time outside. There wasn't a lot of snow. What had happened was my mom and my dad were, you know, they were arguing so often that my dad wanted to stay out of the house as often as he could, and my mom kind of took over the role of being downstairs and watching TV. Sorry. So I think it was around maybe like 8, 9 o'clock. Usually my mom has this curfew for me at that time where I would have to go to bed around like 8:30, and I would fall asleep around 9 o'clock. So my mom was watching her TV show and I was watching with her, and then, the TV show would end. I don't remember what show it was. I think, yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. So she would watch this TV show with me every week, the same day at the same time. And after the show would end, I had this routine where I'd go to bed and I'd, pass out, wake up, and go to school. And I hadn't really experienced too much after that night. There was one occasion where, I would hear things, but I just didn't want to acknowledge them because I just wanted to fall asleep. But this night was definitely severe. What had happened was, after the show had ended, I walked my way up the stairs. I went to go brush my teeth. Then, I took a quick shower. I got out, and I made my way into the bedroom. So as I'm in the bedroom, I assume, I'm just going to change. I'm not really all that tired, so maybe I'll just close my eyes for a bit and see what happens. If I fall asleep, I fall asleep. If not, then that's that. So as I'm laying there in this bed, I start getting this feeling again. It's almost identical to the feeling that I would get coming in and looking up the steps. That somebody is really staring right at me. I mean, really staring. So, for me, it was kind of like this odd sensation because normally when I'm upstairs, I don't, I don't feel that as severely as I would when I'm downstairs looking up. Well, I'm laying there, and I'm thinking, if I'm going to fall asleep, I'm going to fall asleep. Maybe 15 minutes go by, I open my eyes, and I see something in my parents' doorway. I can't quite make it out, but it's almost this shadow silhouette of the back of somebody, or maybe the side, the silhouette of the side of somebody's face, and their arms, their shoulder, just, a whole entire half of the body sticking out. I look, I'm like, no way, fuck it. I'm tired. So I close my eyes. I'm thinking, nope, not gonna open them. I'm just gonna fall asleep. And stupid me, I'm thinking, maybe I'll take a quick look. So I open one eye real careful just so nobody notices, and I look, and I can make it out. It's a face, and it's the side of somebody's body, and I can see the eye. I can see the the structure of the mouth and the nose and the brow. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, no way. I look away. I'm thinking, nope, not gonna look again. So finally, I bring myself to look one more time, and as I turn my head, I see this figure almost fully peeking its head out with this grin, and the teeth are almost like jagged and serrated. If you don't know what serrated means, if you look at a shark's teeth, it is very similar. Their teeth are very serrated. They're jagged and sharp. It's kind of like the blades that you use to cut meat, like your steaks. So I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, no, and I kind of gave in and I yelled for my mom. So I yell as loud as I can, top of my lungs, to the point where my whole throat feels like it's scratched up, almost like now, but it's because I'm sick right now. Um, Mom comes upstairs and she goes, "What? Why are you yelling like that? You sound like somebody's cutting you open." And I go, "Mom, look in your bedroom. There's something in there. There's someone in your bedroom." And she goes, "What? What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. Go to bed. It's gonna be late, and you're not gonna wake up in the morning on time for school. You're gonna be tired. Go to sleep." And I said, "Mom, go into your bedroom and look. There is someone there." So, she kind of, "Yeah, okay, whatever. Whatever makes you quiet down, go to sleep." She goes into the bedroom, and, she disappears behind the corner. The wall is structured in a pattern where it's like this. Here's my doorway on this side, and on this side, you would actually have to, go in this way and disappear behind the doorway, and you wouldn't see who's there. But that's what my mom did. She goes into the bedroom, she turns the lights on, and I'm sitting there rocking back and forth thinking, like, if something happens to my mom, it's just me. It's just me. So what am I going to do? If my mom gets hurt, dad's not here, that's it. That's the end of that. So mom goes into the bedroom, and it felt like, just forever. It's quiet. Finally, if you're ever in this state of just utter suspense, if you're ever sat there during like a horror or thriller movie when that violin is playing so loud on that highest octave, and then all of a sudden something jumps out, well, that's what happened when she poked her head out, and she says, "Nothing's here." I kind of jumped and I grabbed my chest, and I'm thinking, holy crap, okay, maybe it's just my mind. It's just playing tricks on me. I'm going to go to sleep. So I lay back, and she turns off the light to her bedroom. I close my eyes. I'm just laying there. I'm thinking, I'm just gonna go to sleep. Okay. And then I feel this feeling again, where somebody is just watching. And I open my eyes, and there's the full figure of this, almost like a shadow, but not against the wall, but like the shadow has been taken off the wall and has physically managed to create a physical form for itself. But I can see the face. I can see the full face, and it's scarred up and kind of like crispy looking with these teeth, and the eyes are now like blackened out. And that's it. It did me in, and I'll admit it. I did whiz myself a little bit, just a little bit, when I saw that, and I yelled again. My mom came upstairs, and I'm trying to tell her this, but she's not listening, and she's just getting more and more upset with me as as I'm trying to argue the fact that there is someone in her bedroom. So I'm kind of I'm disillusioned with the idea that my mom won't believe me, but I'm seeing something, so if my mom's not going to believe me, my dad's definitely not going to believe me, and there's no freaking way that I'm going to be able to prove that there's something there. Well, later on, and I am going to make a part 2 to this video, because over time, my mom and my dad have given me pieces of certain things that have happened to them during the period of time, of what was happening to me. I know this is a very long video. It's like, what, 29 and a half minutes long by now? But part 2, I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can, because I'm actually going to provide you guys with a news clip of what had happened to my old place September the 20th, 2012. That's this year. Something happened. And yeah, it, there's a news article that explains what happened, but my dad met the woman and had spoken to her previously, So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, you guys stick around for part 2. I appreciate you guys bearing with me for these past like almost 30 minutes now, and I'll catch you on VGR after this video is uploaded. Go to the link. I'm going to put a little annotation up there so you can click it and go to part 2, and I promise it's going to be good. All right, you guys take it easy. Thanks for tuning in.